Never explain and never complain. This is really the only motto that you have to live by, is never explain and never complain. Okay? So the first one, never explain. Obviously, I'm talking about if you're in a relationship with somebody and you find yourself constantly having to explain yourself, constantly having to tell her your whereabouts, why you're 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 20 minutes late. If you're constantly having to explain yourself so that this person doesn't think you're out there like cheating or doing something that you shouldn't have been doing, then you know what? It's time to exit, right? It's time to move forward because, I mean, and this goes for anybody. I mean, whether it's a dating relationship, it'll be primarily a dating relationship, or even just a friendship where you're constantly having to explain yourself. That shit zaps you of energy. That shit is mentally exhausting, right? Constantly having to explain to somebody what you did, why you were there, why you weren't here, why you were over here. You know, it's mentally exhausting, right? Because when you constantly have to explain, usually the person's just way too high maintenance. You know, it's just like they have mental issues that are beyond your capacity of dealing with, unless you are a licensed therapist who wants to dedicate time and energy into helping this person. But for most of us, we're just too busy. We don't have that kind of time. I can't stand, you know, having people in my life. I've had both male and female, both in relationships and just, you know, even a few guy friends I grew up with, just constantly having to explain things. You know, it just gets to a point where there's only so many hours in the day, and, you know, you want to use that time, effort, and energy towards things that are more productive and people who are more productive versus people who are destructive. Okay? And I think they mention this phrase in a book called Energy Vampires too, where they're talking about, like, you know, do you have energy vampires in your life? People who just kind of like zap you of energy, people who are just constantly, you know, mentally, physically, spiritually even exhausting you, draining you, right? To the point where you can't focus on your own day. You can't focus on the things that you need to do, right? Because you're so like distracted by this other person. That's how you know it's time to cut them loose, okay? It's time to cut them loose. Another motto that I live by is never complain. And I actually did a coaching video on this about why you should never complain and why complaining is beta, okay? And this is really, really huge because the thing about complaining is a feminine trait, okay? So you'll notice when you start complaining, you will start to sound like a woman, right? You'll start just rambling off, yapping away, nitpicking, nagging, throwing a hissy fit, right? You'll just start embodying the characteristics of a woman, right? That's why I say it's a feminine trait. Complaining is a feminine trait, and more than that, complaining depletes you of masculine energy, right? So I'm always careful about the things that I let upset me, right? I don't like to complain about anything, right? There's an old saying that goes, you can judge the success of a man by the things that bother him, right? You can judge the success of a man by the things that bother him. Do you ever see these people out there in the world who are just like, they're just angry people? You ever come across these people? I mean, we all do, right? You might come across this person like at a traffic stop where, you know, you're just kind of like a second off, the light just turned green, and already they're riding their horn like, you know, they're just angry people, right? Yeah, it just goes back to that saying, you know, you can judge the success of a man by the things that bother him. Or people that just complain about the dumbest things that are just so petty. So that's something that you really want to watch out for, is like, you know, you want to avoid being petty, right? Because pettiness really just communicates to the person that you are low value, right? Because only low value people act petty. Put it that way. So never complain, guys. I mean, there's always something that you can do differently other than complaining. I mean, either take action or just completely ignore it. I mean, you can literally spend your entire life and make an entire career out of complaining. Right? I grew up in San Francisco, California, so I was surrounded by leftists my entire life. Constant protests downtown. I mean, I remember even since high school, and sadly, I've seen the same protesters protesting the most ridiculous things over and over and over for decades, man. It's like I'll like happen to come across a protest whenever I'm visiting San Francisco, and I'll see like these people now in their 70s still complaining. And back then they were in their 30s and 40s when I was a teenager, you know, and they're still out here complaining. It's like they're complaining about this, complaining about that. And it's almost like I feel like they're cursed. They love to live in that misery where they're, you know, as well as anybody else who just is constantly complaining. It's almost like it gives them like a dopamine rush to complain, right? And their lives are all about complaining, you know. And if you ever know anybody like this that's constantly complaining, man, get as far away from them as possible, because they're going to bring that negative energy onto you, right? And this is why I don't really like to watch a whole lot of like political channels. I mean, especially like CNBC or MSNBC or anything like that, because it's constantly complaining, right? I mean, I don't, you know, even Fox, I don't really watch Fox that much. I like watching Fox Sports, but yeah, I don't really watch too much political commentary, you know, especially on the lefty sites, because all they're constantly doing is complaining. And when there's nothing to complain about, they'll find more things to complain about. It's like, oh my God, you know, it's insane. It's totally out of control. One thing I can't stand is complaining. It's just like, I can understand once in a while. There's, of course, you know, it's just daily life. There's something to complain about. Maybe you got bad service. Maybe your waitress was rude to you. The cashier was at your clothing store was not nice to you, or she didn't give you the refund she was supposed to, whatever. Yeah, obviously there's times that, you know, even then there's ways to go about it that avoids complaining, right? You could call up her corporate office, you could ask for her manager or whatnot. You know, you could do things in a more traditionally masculine way versus just completely flying off the handle and completely losing it and letting your feminine side get the best of you and like turning into a woman and just start acting out and throwing hissy fits. Right? That's the last thing you should do. Whenever I see a guy just throwing a temper tantrum and completely losing it, I'm like, man, somebody quickly give that guy a shot of some masculinity. Somebody give him a shot of something that is manly. Give him a manwich. Somebody get him something so he'll stop acting like a little girl. Right? So never explain and never complain. Those are the two mottos that you should live by. Those are two mottos that I live by. And you know what? Life will be a lot more grand when you do. So until next time, this is Matt Cross from Alpha Male Secrets. Don't forget to smash that like button below. Also hit that notification bell right next to it so you're notified whenever I release a brand new coaching video here on the YouTube. More importantly, guys, make sure you subscribe to my channel, okay? Very, very important you guys subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet, because you are going to learn a ton, right? You're going to learn a ton from this channel. So